Hi, this is Phil at Simply Rhino, and in this short video I'm going to take a look at creating decals in V-Ray for Rhino. V-Ray decals appear for the first time in V-Ray 5 for Rhino, and if you'd like to see some of the other features of V-Ray 5, then check out our video in the link below. I'm going to apply a simple decal to a glass material. The reason I've chosen glass is that before the advent of decals in V-Ray for Rhino, then applying a printed logo to a glass-like material was difficult. If I wanted the result to be applied to the outside surface of the glass only, so that it looked like printing, then this was quite an involved process that required additional V-Ray material layers, opacity maps, and the use of Rhino's UV unwrapping and texture editor. V-Ray decals use a type of planar mapping, so there may be some cases in which we would need the old process for specialized mapping. But most of the time, decals in V-Ray can really simplify and speed up this process. In my Rhino model here, I have two glasses, one of which has liquid in it, and a couple of metallic spheres that I'm using to check reflections and refractions. All the objects here are, of course, modelled as watertight solids. I'll start by turning off the liquid and sphere layers, and I'll hide one of the glasses. To see what happens with decals a little easier, I'm going to change the material of my glass temporarily to this shiny orange plastic material. Let's now consider the decal itself. The original logo image is 1000 pixels wide by 4000 pixels high. In order to place and proportion this correctly, I'm going to define a rectangle that is 100 mm wide by 40 mm high, so the same proportions as the logo image, and I'm going to snap this to the center of the glass. Then I'll use Scale 2D to reduce the size of this rectangle so that it fits the glass, and then I'll just reposition this slightly. This rectangle is only being used as a positional guide for the V-Ray decal, just as we might use a similar process to position and scale a mapping widget in Rhino. Next, from the V-Ray toolbar, I'll pick the decal tool. I'm asked to pick a point at the lower left corner of the decal and then a point at the upper right corner of the decal, so I can snap to the rectangle to establish these points. Then I need to give this decal what V-Ray calls a height, which is its third dimension here. And having done this, I'm going to move this decal so that it's intersecting with the front of our glass. Next, we need to create a material to apply to this decal. So I'll go back to the V-Ray material editor and create a new generic material which I'll rename as Logo. I'll open out the Logo material panel and I'll give this a little bit of reflectivity, and in the diffuse slot here I'll load in the bitmap which has my logo image on it. That's all I need to do with the material. Next, I'll go to Geometries in the V-Ray Asset Editor and I'll pick the decal here and apply the logo material to it. And I'll see confirmation of this in the V-Ray Interactive viewport. Of course, I want the white part of this material to disappear, and I'll need to apply an opacity mask in order to do this. With this type of mask, white is 100% opaque and black will drop out completely. So I'll add a bitmap here in the decal's mask slot. So just to re-emphasize this, I'm adding the mask to the decal, not to the material I've applied to the decal. What's interesting about decals in V-Ray is this. If I move to look inside the glass here, I'll see that the logo has only been added to the outside surface and the inside surface remains untouched. If I was to use Scale 1D on the decal to take this through the glass, and then I look at the result, you'll see that the decal applies itself to the inside of the glass now, but only on the first face of the solid that it hits. So this is different behavior to using a mapping widget with planar mapping, where we'd see a both sides projection. So this is really good news for when we want to work on glass. I'll undo the scale 1D on the decal, and as I'm happy with the size and position of the logo now, I'll change the material back to glass. Next, I'll turn on the metallic spheres and the other glass object. You'll now see that the decal behaves correctly, and it looks convincingly like it's painted or printed onto the outside layer of the glass only. So this is much quicker than using UV unwrapping and the Rhino texture editor. If I now turn on the liquid layer, you'll see that we have a problem, as the decal is now applied to the liquid as well. This is easy to correct though, and if I select the decal object and then from Properties in Rhino choose V-Ray, I can edit the properties of the decal. Here I have an include or exclude mode, and if I pick exclude, then pick the object I want to exclude, so in this case the liquid, the decal now is applied to the glass but not to the liquid. On a more complex scene, you can see that it would be fairly easy to have a number of decals and to control which objects these were mapped to on a per object rather than a per material basis. So that's about the end of what I wanted to cover in this video. Thanks for watching, and please feel free to leave any comments below. If you found this video useful, then please hit the like button, and remember that to keep up with the latest developments in Rhino and V-Ray for Rhino, then you can subscribe to this channel. At Simply Rhino, we offer training for Rhino and all its key plugins, including V-Ray. So check out our website for more details. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch up with you in the next video.